Hello again, and welcome to another Build the Ghostbusters Ecto-1. This is Stage 9. It's Wednesday, the day before Thanksgiving. This week we will be attaching carburetor and air filter parts to the engine that we have been building up. If you recall, we've gotten this far, engine and transmission here, and we're going to be stacking some parts on top. This is the parts tray for this week. For some reason they put some screws in the middle here and some in bags that were just in the overwrap. So in addition to what's in here, there are some EP and BP screws. We'll get started. This shouldn't take too long. There is one bit of fuel line, so I have a piece of wire out to improve that a bit. Yeah. Otherwise, not a whole lot of pieces, some small bits though, so hopefully I don't drop anything. Okay, so first off is fitting up some of these small pieces. Let me remove these other screws too, DP and GP. So starting with this very small bracket. These are all little pieces building up the carburetor. So this very small bracket is piece number 1. And that is going to go onto a bracket, which will be piece number 2. This is the very small bracket that's going to attach to start with. And that is being secured with a BP screw. There is a pin, not a keyway, but a pin on the end of this that's going to fit into one of the two holes here, the smaller hole. I thought it was a keyway looking at it initially, but it's not. So that helps with alignment, but doesn't hold it in place at all. Okay, so tiny bracket partially put together now. Onto this goes another tiny piece, which is part of the idle cam. That is going to be secured to the rest of this with an EP screw. So this has a keyed piece on it. The round part with the keyway on here is going to go into this keyed end and be secured. So that is that all put together. You see a tiny bit. Next, this is going to attach to the carburetor body, which is this guy here, with a GP screw. We're doing all kinds of different size screws today. I'm going to go back down to that smaller bit. Okay, so this is going to be fun. This goes on so that that tab goes in this side. Well, it's not pulling out, but that screw doesn't want to tighten up all the way for some reason. So that's the way that all goes together. There's another tiny piece, the fuel inlet, which is this guy. You can tell he's the fuel inlet because he has that little stem for the fuel line. And that is going to go on here as well with another GP screw. And this isn't even the last of the tiny pieces. So while you have this hollow towards you, that inlet goes to the left. There is actually a pin to help make this fit. Would have been nice if the other last bit had a pin, but can't do anything about that. So that is the fuel inlet attached. And the next tiny piece is, I think it's the choke. Again, teeny tiny little piece. No pin on this one. Slight keyway, so I guess they differentiate the three pieces so you can't screw them up by doing slightly different attachment methods. One is just a straight screw, one has a pin, and one has a keyway. And ideally, you can't put the pin in the wrong spot, and the keyway is pretty obvious. So, it's hard to screw it up. And this is secured with another GP screw. That is our carburetor body coming together. Choke here, fuel inlet there, and the idle mechanism over here. All secured on the underside. Now this is going to fit on top of our engine. If you recall, our engine has this post with key on it, and that is going to slot on here. Just like that. It's a pretty tight fit, so no issues with that falling off. Now the air filter is going to go on top of here in a moment and hold that all together. But before it does that, they would like me to run from that fuel inlet to the fuel filter this small length of hose. Now, like I say, I have a bit of wire off to the side already. So this is the hose. I've got a length of wire over length. That's going to go in here, and I will cut this to suit. Okay, and now I just got to cut a little bit off so that it fits the pins. Now the pins are about 2 millimeters long each, so we'll take that off. So, this bit of hose is going to go from the fuel inlet here to the outlet of the fuel pump over here. All right, let's see if I can neaten that up a little bit, and that's better. So there we go. We got a fuel line running out of the fuel filter and into the carburetor. Okay, now we're going to start building the air filter, which will ultimately cover most of this. We have the air inlet, which is just this little guy, little hollow horn-shaped piece. And that's going to go into the body of this. There's a slot cut here on the side. I don't know how well that comes through. This is symmetrical, so there's no top or bottom to worry about. And it's going to be secured with an EP screw. Okay, once that's secured, it's just looking like that. Now, there is the bottom tray of this piece, flat on one side, slight ridge on the other with that keyway. That's just going to slot on top of all of our existing stuff on that keyway. Now that is going to sit on top and take this other piece. This other piece has a very small notch in the side, which I believe will line that up. And on top of this goes the cover plate. Now initially I thought that stem wasn't sticking up far enough, but the cover plate actually has that peg on the bottom with the last little bit of keyway in it, so that should fit on here if I can get it in the right spot. Now, through that goes one DP screw, which will get covered up in a moment. This almost completely hides those cables I've already routed on this. So one DP screw through the middle. We now have a nice secured air filter. And the last little piece in here, I think this is a clever bit, is this little tiny wing nut cap. And that's just going to go on top, cover that screw hole, and look like an actual wing nut that you would have to take the air filter on and off. There we go. Yeah, I think that's pretty clever. So there it is. There's a wing nut on top of that air filter holding it all together. And that's our build for this week. So you can barely see that I've run that fuel line. You can't really see the igniter line here anymore at all. And it'll be fun routing all of those spark plug cables underneath that, but that's why there's wire looms too. Yeah, stage 9 build. Here's what our finished piece should look like. That's what our finished piece does look like. I think we're there. Have a good one, guys.